Howdy folks, in this second video I'm discussing how this class will work. So looking back at the last video we talked about me, maybe some reasons why I'm moving to this kind of self-paced, mastery-based lesson procedure, as well as hopefully some benefits you're going to see as a student. So in this video I'm going to talk about how that's actually going to play out, where you're going to look, how you're going to submit assignments, what assignments you need to do, and how this unit will generally progress. So first thing is I want you to know my number and lesson classification system. So generally, I'll show you this in Google Classroom in a second, but I'll talk through it first. If an assignment doesn't have a prefix, that's a must-do lesson. So in other words, that at the very minimum, you have to get this lesson done in order to earn a grade for this unit. So your grade will be an F until you get these lessons done. And just getting the must-do lessons done will earn you a C for those assignments. If you do anything with a star or everything with a star, that means you get a B. Those are the should do lessons. I would expect most students to be able to do those. And then dollar signs are the aspire to do lessons. Those are the ones that are kind of showing I'm going above and beyond. I'm really pushing through this. I'm making sure I understand this and I want to take my information and my understanding and push it farther. That's how you get an A for the assignments on these lessons. When you finish up with all the lessons at the end, we'll have usually there'll be a unit quiz or exam. Generally, this will be about 30% of your overall unit score. And in order to get an A for your overall unit score, you need to get at least an 80% on our final exam or quiz, right? Because I actually want you to understand this stuff. And if you're not able to represent this on an exam or a test, then it's showing me that you're not quite ingraining this and encoding this in your brain yet. You might need to re-study and retry this again. Additionally, for each lesson, there's going to be some notes you need to take, and I'm going to point out what learning targets are, success criteria is, as well as some guided notes. So let's look at this in Google Classroom really quick. So here's an example unit that might be one that you run through. And you're going to notice that all of my lessons are numbered. Some of them have two parts. So like 200 is one part, 201 has two parts. And you need to complete both of those units, both of these things in Google Classroom to complete a unit. So if I click on this, and let's take a look at my assignment here, so instructions. So my learning goal is about source evaluation criteria. So if you don't know what that means, totally fine. That's what you're going to be learning in this unit. And the success criteria, this is the thing that you would be able to do when you're done with this lesson if you understand it. So what I would recommend is write your learning goal at the top, go through your notes, go through the practice, and then come back and take a look at the success criteria. And if you're like, yes, I can do this thing, then you're probably ready to move on and take the quiz for this lesson. If you're like, I'm not quite sure what that means or how to do it, or I don't understand what all these terms mean, then you probably need to go back and revise and take a look at the notes again and maybe look over that practice. Additionally, so if you're going to notice, there's going to be a task, so a procedure for each lesson that I want you to do. So this usually will say like something like watch the videos and take the notes. Notice that there are two videos here, one video about the content, the material that we're learning about, and then another video where I model how to use that content in a real life setting. And then when you finish your notes, complete the source evaluation practice. So most lessons will have a practice assignment with them. Last thing I'll put up here is my guided notes. These are the things that I absolutely want to make sure that you guys know and understand before you move on and even do the practice assignments. So make sure these things get in your notes and that you have definitions and that you yourself understand them. Remember, it's not about if you can copy down the definition of this term in your notes. That's not going to help you learn. What's going to help you learn is if you can copy down the definition in your own words and provide explanations and examples of these things. Okay, so on to our next slide. Oh, last thing, I wanted to show you the classification systems. If we go back to classwork, you're going to notice that the first three lessons, so 200, 201, and 202, don't have any prefix, so you have to do those ones. 203 is a should do lesson. 204 is a aspire to do lesson, and then I've got some reflections and a quiz that are also must do. You have to do those reflections and quizzes. Okay, on to the next one is about assignments. So for each lesson, you're going to have notes, you're going to have a practice assignment. Sometimes you're going to have reflection questions, and then you're going to have what's called a mastery check, which you can kind of think about as a quiz over that lesson that you just did. The mastery check is the only real thing that I'm grading. But in order to get a mastery check, you have to do all the prior assignments. So for a practice assignment, I'll show you that on Google Classroom, might look something like this, where I've got lateral reading practice. You would fill this out, you would turn this in, and then when you're done, you are going to check your own understanding. So in the classroom, I will have a folder of an answer key that you can compare your answers to what I got. And you can see, here's what I understood, here's what I missed, here's where my answers weren't developed enough or explained enough. You can do that sort of evaluation for yourself, and I think it's actually really healthy for you to do that evaluation for yourself. And then if you have any questions, you can ask me, you can ask your partners or anybody else to help make sure that you understand that, and always be evaluating yourself against the success criteria and your learning goals. Do you feel like you're working towards this? Did the practice help? What did you miss? What do you need to do next? And then when you're done with all of those and you're ready, you'll take a mastery check. And like I said, this is the thing that I'm actually grading. So it's usually a short 1 page or half a page quiz, anywhere from 1 to 5 questions. Sometimes they're multiple choice, sometimes they're free response answers. And that's what I'm actually grading. And so for mastery checks, they are all about what you can get out of your head. So no, you can't use your phone. No, you can't use your notes. No, you can't work with a partner because I want to know what you know about this stuff. But there's also no penalty for failure or to redo things. So I want you to give it your best shot when you've got all those prerequisites done. And then if you need to restudy and redo it, that's what you'll do. If you're really close and I just need to revise a couple of things, I might have you do that and explain to me, here's what I revised, here's why I needed to fix it. All right. Last thing is about public and private trackers. So I do want you guys to track your own pace as we go through this. So I'll give you a personal tracker, something that looks a little bit like this. I closed it on my computer. Here's what it looks like. So you can kind of keep track of, here are the lessons that I've done with and completed, and then I've finished the mastery checks on, and that's where that's the next lesson that I'm working on. I'm also going to have a public tracker that kind of looks like this. So I'll have this posted up in the class every day. You can come in and you can see, okay, here's the lesson that I'm working on. I'm either on pace or behind pace. Maybe I'm ahead of pace, or I have some things to review. Like Mr. Restad took a look at my mastery check and wanted me to revise something there. So that's how you're going to kind of keep track of where you're at in this particular lesson unit. All right. So if you haven't yet, grab a personal unit tracker from the front of the room, put your name on it, and hang it up. That is now your, I guess, personal space in my classroom to monitor your progress and celebrate your progress. Awesome. Next video will be about some expectations and some tips that I have for having success in this type of unit. Good luck.